You are standing at a red light. Next to you is a standard city e-scooter, safe, predictable, and capped at a modest 15 miles per hour. But then, a blur of metal and neon tears past you. Vehicles like these are heavily regulated. They are built for sidewalks and bike lanes, deliberately locked down to keep riders out of trouble. The rider who just blew past you isn't pedaling, and they aren't on a motorcycle. They are on a tiny electric stand-up scooter, keeping pace with actual cars. How is that physically possible? The answer is that the speed limit on your scooter is a digital illusion. Beneath the deck, there is a hidden battle playing out over raw hardware potential. Inside almost every electric scooter on the market lies a remarkably powerful electric motor. These are engineering marvels, built to generate incredible torque from a very small package. Hooked directly to a battery, they would spin fast enough to launch a rider down the street at terrifying speeds. Because manufacturers and city governments want to avoid chaos, engineers install a tiny circuit board known as a speed controller. This digital brain acts as a strict parent for the vehicle. This schematic illustrates the setup. The controller sits exactly between the battery and the motor, constantly monitoring wheel speed. The second the vehicle hits that preset legal limit, it aggressively cuts the power. It chokes the engine to enforce the rules. The battery has the energy, the hardware is ready, but the software says no. And almost as soon as these locked scooters hit the streets, riders began finding ways around that word. To remove that limitation, a massive online community of hackers began targeting the controller. In the early days, their target was a crude physical boundary. Many older and cheaper models feature a setup exactly like this. The speed limiter is just a single wire looping out of the box and plugging right back into itself, sending a constant restriction signal to the engine. Defeating the governor required nothing more than a pair of wire cutters. Snipping or unplugging this one specific loop instantly removed the restriction. Without that signal, the controller immediately floods the motor with unrestricted voltage, tapping into the absolute maximum power the hardware can handle. It was a simple analog solution. But as cities demanded stricter compliance, manufacturers got smarter. They removed the physical wires entirely, migrating the locks into the digital realm. This forced riders to adopt a much more sophisticated method, firmware flashing. Armed with nothing but a smartphone, they started hacking directly into the vehicles. Hackers reverse-engineered the code written by the manufacturers, developing custom software patches that could be transmitted over the air. Using specialized apps, a rider connects to their scooter, wipes the factory memory clean, and prepares it for new instructions. They inject custom code that overrides the original parameters. With a few taps on a screen, the scooter's brain is told to ignore all legal limits and pump the absolute maximum amps from the battery. A smartphone patch turns a standard city commuter into an unregistered miniature motorcycle. This capability triggered a literal arms race played out on city sidewalks. Massive tech companies consistently release official updates, patching the security holes, to lock the scooters back down to 15 miles per hour. In response, the hacker community spends sleepless nights cracking the new encryption. They release fresh bypass tools to the public just days later, maintaining a continuous global digital turf war. You can break the rules of software, but you cannot rewrite the rules of physics. Forcing a scooter beyond its factory limits pushes every component to the brink of disaster. The batteries are forced to discharge energy far faster than they were ever designed for, causing them to heat up dramatically. Under massive electrical loads, internal wires melt. The lithium-ion cells suffer thermal runaway, erupting into uncontrollable fires that cannot be extinguished with water. Then there is the kinetic energy. A lightweight frame designed for a slow 15-mile-per-hour cruise is highly unstable when you are flying toward a busy intersection at 40. The tiny wheels catch unexpected potholes. The brakes overheat and completely fail under the excess momentum. A 5-minute software tweak becomes a deadly gamble once the speed exceeds the structural integrity of the frame. Without a protective chassis, the hardware simply cannot support the hacked output. Because of these immense physical risks, cities worldwide have initiated severe crackdowns on riders who treat public bike lanes like a racetrack. Police departments now deploy radar specifically to monitor bike lanes, handing out massive fines to anyone caught exceeding the legal limit. The result of these crackdowns is an ever-growing pile of impounded, damaged and destroyed vehicles, pulled off the streets for public safety. Even with the threat of fines and melting batteries, the scooter hacker community continues to expand. This persistence reflects the friction between a motor's raw potential and software meant to suppress it. For these writers, the choice to override a digital lock is a way to prioritize hardware capability over an artificial boundary.